The continuation of this 20th century time travel strategic RPG, Reverse 1999, is coming with version 1.3 Journey to More Punk. And you can check out the game now on iOS, Google Play, and PC. Click the link in the description to download Reverse 1999 today to gain up to 74 summons and a guaranteed 6-star character in 30 summons. Now let's dive in and react to Shamane's EP. Yeah, so this is really cool because it doesn't shy away from using traditional instrumentation. I hear a didgeridoo in here. Obviously, this Journey to More Pong is going to introduce a new soundscape, a new element to Reverse 1999. We've been squarely in sort of a European area, a European vibe, and now we're thrusting into what sounds like India, Middle Eastern. There's a sense of virility in here, being tall against adversity and facing things head on. As we continue listening, get some strings coming in.
Through forest reached Himalaya's mountains peak, danced with wolves, embraced the wild. From my solitary path, beheld nature's gentle wrath. This journey of the soul, where I have roamed afar and wide.
Wow, that is extremely interesting. This is very different from standard Western singing, I would say. First of all, oh man, this is like way out of my wheelhouse, but that's really beautiful. The way that we go up and down with the rhythmic idea, the way that we're moving up and down like that in the melody line is actually very heartfelt. It actually is very honest, and I think it like sort of showcases the music in a way that sometimes singing in a vibrato way, where we're singing like that. This style of singing is almost more emotionally connected and more emotionally at the forefront. So in some ways, we actually get the musical like emotional meaning of a piece right front and center. And when we look at the lyrics, through forests deep, reached Himalaya's mountains peak, danced with wolves, embraced the wild, found my solitary path, felt nature's gentle wrath, this journey of the soul where I've roamed far and wide. You really get an understanding that this character has seen many things, has been on a search, has been seeking out his purpose, seeking out why they are who they are, what their point is in the world, where their like life meaning comes from. And it feels like it's asking a lot of questions in a way. Well, what is my meaning? What is my purpose? Why am I here? Danced with wolves, embraced the wild, found my solitary path, felt nature's gentle wrath, this journey of the soul where I've roamed far and wide. I've been looking for myself. I've been looking for things. I didn't know where to find myself. Where was I supposed to turn? What was I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to be? And I think that, they're not called appoggiaturas, but all these sort of like dips in pitch that sort of lilt with the voice, that is really expressive and really useful at sort of making us feel like we are on and taking a journey to find ourselves.
I've seen the eyes of the wolves, where plants grow in spring and snow falls in winter.
And that's actually more like, I've seen the eyes of the wolves, where plants grow in spring and snow falls in winter. Much more spoken text. That's what we would call, if we were looking at musical annotation, those would be X's. And they would have little stems on top. They would be in pitch, but you wouldn't sing them. You would just articulate them like this person's doing.
That's the moment when I realized
It's like a musical
where I belong.
interlude.
I have learned the weight of life in the silence of my mind. Now I sit under a tree, reborn with a new pair of eyes.
So one thing that's really jarring at first, but I actually think is kind of interesting, is that the syllables are not in the right place per se. I've learned the weight of life in the silence of my mind. And if you listen, first of all, I love the thrust into this section. This is where like we understand what this person did and why they did it, what they learned. I've learned the weight of life in the silence of my mind. Now I sit under a tree, reborn with a new pair of eyes. What was the journey for? We're now at the arrival point. What have we learned through this process? What did you learn when you danced with wolves? What did you learn when you embraced the wild? So you found your solitary path and you felt nature's gentle wrath, but what was the journey of the soul for? These are the questions that we're asking so that we're connecting to each of these things. And then here at the bottom, I've learned the weight of life in the silence of my mind. I had to step away. I had to go and meditate, clear my thoughts. And now suddenly I've arrived at the understanding and the learning of the weight of life. But it's kind of interesting how both in this verse and in the first verse, the syllables are not lining up where we would typically hear like the appropriate English annotation. It's very interesting.
I can see the universe in the sights. Left one arm to fate the other.
Like left one arm to the fate of the other. Like it's left one arm to the fate, the other reach for the sky. It's left one arm to the fate, the other. You know, it's very interesting. It's not a bad thing, but I think it's interesting how rhythm plays a really important part in how we're structuring sentences, and that as we structure sentences, they should follow the natural lilt of the language that they are representing. However, it's also really interesting when we take that and actually don't do that, because that's the antithesis of what we're used to. Antithesis is a big word for the opposite. And so I find that very intriguing.
Reach for the sky.
Nice unison movement here. Listen to this. That's actually really nice. And what's cool about that in terms of word painting is when we look at the sky is enormous. The sky is, forever long. Sky. The sky stretches out, and now so does that line because the sky is so long. That little piano there leads to that pensiveness. It's really nice. I love the percussion in the background too. The percussion really adds a whole layer in here of depth and of this feeling of moving through something and getting to the other side, and also gives us a feeling of not giving up and a feeling of courageousness that we could otherwise miss if it was just some of the vocal flourishing. And I want to go back to the very beginning really quickly and just talk about some of the rhythmic identity there as well. It's actually not a very high song in terms of pitch, and I think that also serves us really well in this particular case, because when we're in a very standard baritonal range, it's less about being showy and having showmanship and more about delivering a message. And this entire song is about delivering a message and discovering and sharing with who I am and who we've become through this journey of life, right? And so this entire thing, if it was up top, that wouldn't be as effective, because that would be more about showing off. And this is actually not about showing off. It's the complete opposite. It's about the introspective journey through one's life. It's a very interesting character theme. I just want to listen to this rhythm here. Even this accent here is very nice. It showcases a little bit of angst. And then the strings as they come in, this is like moving forward and deciding, okay, I'm anxious, I'm stressed, I have angst. I'm gonna move forward anyway and discover something new. Love those drums. That's a really nice vocal line.
Through forest deep.
Like right there. Through forest deep. It's really interesting because in our English language we go through the forest deep. But instead this is through. There's actually emphasis through forest deep. But it's also interesting because if you do it that way, through forest deep. So it's saying it's emphasizing those through forest deep, rather than through forest deep. Now, does that make sense? Like, instead of just saying through forest deep, we're saying through forests deep. We're emphasizing every single word, which is really effective.
Reached Himalaya's mountains peak, danced with wolves, embraced the wild.
And actually, the more I'm listening to this, I actually think it's actually really nice because dance with wolves, embrace the wilds. So it's saying like, I danced with wolves, I embraced the wilds. And that's where that emphasis comes in at a key moment.
On my solitary path.
There too, found my solitary path. Found my solitary path. Usually we would go, found my solitary path. I found my solitary path. Emphasis on found. But instead here, found my solitary path. So the emphasis is on solitary and the journey of being alone rather than finding it. And we have to kind of play with what we're given, but that's interesting how the words are actually going to dictate and change the emphasis of the meaning of the words, if that makes sense.
Nature's gentle wrath.
Wrath is highlighted because wrath taught a lesson.
I have roamed far and wide.
Wide is held out, it's long.
I've seen the eyes of the wolves, where plants grow in spring and snow falls in winter.
And then here too, I've seen the eyes of the wolves, where plants grow in spring and snow falls in winter. Letting you know, it's saying like, this is what I've experienced. I'm not going to sing it. I'm going to speak it to you, because if I speak it to you, it may have more emphasis. So you understand that I've seen the eyes of the wolves, where plants grow in spring and snow falls in winter.
That's the moment when I realized where I belong.
It's almost like the singing is,
I have learned
yeah.
the weight of life in the silence of my mind.
Love that line.
Now I sit under a tree, reborn with a new pair of eyes. I can see the universe in the stars. Left one arm to fade the other. Reach for the sky.
What I really like is that we sort of have this lower quality for all of this, and then I've learned the weight of life in the silence of my mind. And we go up in pitch, and that's really the thrust. Again, just to circle back on that idea that I brought up earlier, I've learned the weight of life in the silence of my mind. Now I sit under tree, reborn with a new pair of eyes. I had an awakening. I have come to. I have emerged from my journey, and I've unraveled something, and I've discovered who I am. And that's a really, really powerful, powerful key moment there. That's why we have that surge in the upper register. I've learned the weight of life in the silence of my mind. It's really, really, really good. I have to say that the production value is very high for Reverse 1999. I really have enjoyed the time that I've spent with it. It's fun. It's engaging. And I think Blue Pot Games is doing an absolutely great job. And this particular piece of music is super interesting, super unique. And I think it brings a lot to the table and showcases this characterization that I think is so important, especially when we're featuring new characters, uncovering new identities and exploring new regions. And in this particular case, they've done an exceptional job with this particular song. Again, the game is available now on iOS, Google Play, and PC. Thanks a ton, and I'll see you later.